Now that the maintenance is over, it's time to redeem my code and get those quartz. Am I only worth 250 HL? Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. JC here with another video on Disgaea RPG. First of all, I want to apologize for any inconvenience with the previous code. I was given a new code, and this time it comes with nether quartz. Moving on, today we'll talk about Formal Artina. There are few badasses in the game which fulfill the supporter role, and Formal Artina is one of them, so let's check if she's the new Archangel Flonne or not. Formal Artina's Any0 is a little bit different from your standard Any0, as she gives a 16% buff to int, HP, and critical damage. Of course, this means that she excels in an int team, but she's also good on physical teams thanks to the critical damage buff. Next is her Any1, which increases all allies' elemental damage by 4% per ally. This is a boost which goes up to 20%, so no matter what kind of team you put her on, she's guaranteed to increase your performance significantly. Then we have her Any5, which increases all allies' critical rate by 2% per ally. There are few critical rate abilities in the game, and a 10% critical rate buff to the whole party is superb. Last is her Any7, which buffs all allies' attack and int by 30% if there are 3 or more humanoids in the party. It isn't a big buff, but it's unremovable and covers both sides of the spectrum. Next we have her skills. Her request for power is a party-wide heal tied with a 30% speed buff. This is pretty good for raids, but it won't be as useful on sparse space. You get more mileage out of speed debuffs, and you'll usually restore your HP with overheal skills, as most of them give critical rate buffs or some other good effects. Her Twin Catastrophe is her single target S-rank skill. This is star element and buffs the party attack and int by 30%. This skill is very important for the upcoming elemental meta. The problem is the lack of SP generation, as Formal Artina doesn't give SP with her abilities. Last is her Holy Blessing, which gives one ally a 15 SP regen, a 20% attack and int buff, as well as an extra action on their next turn. This skill can only be used every 3 turns, but if you're trying to get a good score at challenging content, you'll probably use it once. This skill can be used in 2 ways. You can give it to your main DPS to 2-shot the boss, or you can give it to your supporter to give a bigger buff for your main DPS. You may think the first is the better one, but in the future, most skills will be damaging skills tied with supporting effects, and this can activate elemental supporting abilities, which will give even more buffs. For magic spells, she has Mega Esport, Mega Braveheart, and Mega Resist Break. All of them are pretty good spells, and you may use them for a while, but when we receive the elemental supporters, you will only use Formal Artina's skills. Now let's talk about team comps. First we'll talk about which units pair well with her right now. For attackers, you can literally use anyone, as she covers both sides of the spectrum. If you want to take full advantage of her Any0, then I suggest you use Magical Girl Lahar or Leone's Princess Edna as your main DPS. For the physical side of things, Future Warrior Planner, Homura, and Zeta are definitely good options. Talking about supporters that pair well with Formal Artina, first you need to consider SP batteries. Artina's only way to give SP is with her Holy Blessing, which is why you want to use universal SP batteries. You can use Supreme Lahar, Archangel Flonne, Madoka, or whichever battery you may have that fits your team. As Formal Artina doesn't need her staff to activate her abilities, you can use another weapon to get SP from your weapon-specific battery abilities. Next you want a buffer which gives either a medium party-wide buff or a big single target buff. Formal Artina gives a small buff to attack, int, critical rate, and critical damage, which is why you need more buffers. Summer Desco and Leone's Princess Edna are good options for int teams, as they will also buff Formal Artina. Santa Rosalyn and New Year Girl Lahar give good single target buffs for int and attack respectively. If you're using a Fist team, Admiral Rosalyn is a good option to pair with Formal Artina, as you will receive a 52% damage boost from their abilities, and she gives a nice attack buff with a critical rate buff. In the future, Formal Artina will be an excellent supporter for many different teams. We know that she excels at int teams, and her S-rank attack is a star element, so that means she will pair well with Love X. She is the next int star element attacker will receive. She deals a huge amount of damage thanks to her abilities and skills, and due to her low critical rate, she really likes to be paired with Formal Artina. Super Pure Flonne is another notable attacker that works well with Formal Artina, and the best part is that she can also work as a supporter, thanks to the wide variety of effects in her abilities and skills. If you plan on using an axe DPS, then Sapphire Zeno is another notable option to pair with Formal Artina, as she gives a big attack and crit buff. HGC Asagi is the star element supporter, and she works perfectly with Formal Artina. With an SP battery ability, she is able to provide SP for the party. She increases attack, int, and critical damage buff effectiveness, and she also gives a ton of crit buffs. Even if Formal Artina is a star element attacker, that doesn't mean she can be used in other elemental teams. You can use her Holy Blessing on a supporter with an elemental skill with buffs to buff your main attacker twice, while activating another supporter's ability. For example, you can use it on Archangel Flonne next to Mate Salvatore's to get a 100% buff to all main stats and a 40% buff to crit damage, using Great Flonne's or X twice and Mate Salvatore's any 5. The buffers with buffing capabilities like Reuben's and Serafina Zeno are also good targets for Holy Blessing, as you can both buff and debuff in one turn, in order to maximize your damage. And that's about it. Formal Artina is definitely worth rolling for. Is she the new Archangel Flonne? Well, she doesn't give as many buffs as Archangel Flonne, but she's useful in almost any team, just like her. She has a good damage boosting ability and a unique effect in her Holy Blessing, so I would say that she's a new kind of Archangel Flonne rather than her replacement. If you like the video, share, like, subscribe. See you next time. Bye!